You've experienced the foundational tricks, techniques of masking in Adobe Camera Raw. The foundation you've seen. But now let's add some columns. I'm doing it again. C-O-L-L-U-M. Columns, color masks, and luminance masks. Let's have a peek. I'm inside Bridge. I'm going to launch Adobe Camera Raw. No surprise. That's foundational. You've already seen me do that. I'm going to do a keyboard shortcut to select color. It's Shift-C. Now, if you don't want to do the keyboard shortcut, and who could blame you, although it does make you more efficient, but in the beginning, right? Let's add a new mask for a color range. We're selecting color range. Now, in Photoshop, this is one of the great Brian F. Peterson's favorite tricks. In Photoshop, this is where you select color ranges in Adobe Camera Raw, and it's relatively new. I'm going to grab a color range or hit Shift-C. Which color range? There's a lot of colors to pick from. Let's choose this sort of magenta here. Now, when I click it, my mask is saying, I got it, boss. I grabbed that color, and wherever else I see it in your image. Follow me. Beyond the masks panel, below the masks panel, there is a very important, and you haven't seen it before because it's only in the color range. Refine the sampled color. Refine it. And as I start to click and drag, you're going to see less. Look at the image. Less of it got grabbed. Wait a minute, what color got grabbed? This purple, this magenta is what got grabbed. It's not showing me a purple overlay, it's showing me a green overlay, but it's saying you grabbed this color. But let's refine it. I need a little bit more extension. Ooh, look. And it says, if you get too far beyond magenta, you start to hit reds and then into oranges and so on. So I'm seeing a lot more. I'm refining my selection. I'll split the difference. I've got it. And now I'm going to hide my overlay. So when you select a color range, grab one and then refine it. Another way you can select a color range. Let's revert. Let's get myself out of trouble here, okay? I'm going to do Shift-C. I'm using the keyboard shortcut. I'd like to select that magenta, but instead of clicking, you could click and drag a range. You get a different result. When you click, you get 1 pixel of color. But when you click and drag, you'll get a range of colors in that area, in that neighborhood. It's a different set of colors for me to refine. Terrific. When I select color, just so you know, I don't just click. I usually click and drag to select a bundle of colored pixels. I get a better selection. That'd be a good note. Refine, I'm happy. Hide my overlay, we're good. Whatever you want to do to that particular color, there you go. Now, I'll introduce you to a little technique that we really explode and unpack in my Adobe Camera Raw course, the full course. But look down. There's a little rainbow, a little ramp, they call it, a color ramp. And you can barely tell, but it's split into 2 sections by that black line. There's a section on the bottom with a big white circle. That tells me the color you currently have selected is this. And if you look across the line, it says, if you drag, and it will be this. Right now, what it is what it is above the line. So check me. I'm going to grab that little circle around my color, and if I want those magentas to go more blue, I'll drag that target and look up over that black line, and it says what was magenta, look up, is now blue. So all you do is pick it up and move it to the target color, to the color you want it to be. Oh, well, the magenta is still the magenta. It's what it was, but I want it to be yellow. I want it to be red. I want it to be... So maybe I'll play that game and see if I can make it match the light on the other side. Perfect. I selected a color range and then I dragged it. Something you might do when you select particular colors is shift those colors to some other color. Makes sense. Cancel, and you learned a new trick. Try another. This is very common. I'm going to take the foundational things you've learned and we're going to start to exponentially explode them out into more and more professional features. Always write me if you have a question. I'm trying to build on what you already know. Here we go. I'm going to select a color. I'm going to do the keyboard shortcut, Shift-C. I'd like the green of this Perrier bottle, but instead of just clicking, I'm going to click and drag a particular range of those greens. And it looks like, ooh, why would I want my overlay to be green when I'm selecting green things? I don't. So I'm going to click. Let's make it hot pink or something else. I still see that when I grabbed that Perrier bottle, it also grabbed, I guess Pellegrino bottle, to be honest, it's grabbing all that grass. Let's play with my refine slider. See if I can get it down. That's about it. There's still lots of grass selected. So here is what you already know. Shift, intersect. Intersect with the brush I'm about to paint with. I only want the greens. Right there, I intersected. That's incredible. Incredible. Hide my selection. What might I want to do to it? Well, I want better contrast there, and maybe I want to pump my color up on that green object. P for preview, P for preview. Helps me select particular areas of color. Now you're looking at this and you're thinking, well, if you'd like to select a particular color, these reds look pretty good to me. So let's do it. Shift-C. There are the reds. But the reds are now highlighted in this hot pink. Maybe I'll change that to blue. Foundational, you know this. Something there, that'll work. Just something different from my color, but it's selected here and here and here and here. Lots of that color got selected. There are reds in the woody colors of my picnic basket and the baguettes. There are reddish tones in the flesh. So again, shift, click to intersect with my brush. And just this area, please. That's it. I don't want to see my overlay. I tapped Y. If I don't want to shift the color, I can just edit the color. Maybe it's too hot. Saturation. Dial it up or down. If I'm selling strawberries, I'd like nice saturated strawberries. But if I'm selling Pellegrino, I don't want my strawberries to overcompete with my Pellegrino bottle. You get the idea. Ah, this would be good. What about the grass? Opening the grass, Shift-C, you're just seeing the rhythm of this now. I would like the grass, but instead of clicking, because there are different ranges of that grass, aren't there? There's dark green and light green, and I'm clicking and dragging across a range of colors. And it says, how'd I do, boss? Well, you got a lot of greens, honestly, all kinds of places. Let's refine it. Down. Oh, that's very good indeed. I'm going to take that, hide my overlay, which is currently set to yellow. What will I do to my green grass? Well, maybe I'll make the grass greener on the other side. I'm going to drag my little green tint slider, make it a little greener. What else? It's more green, but I want it more saturated, even pump the green. The letter P, preview before and after. The grass, is greener on the other side. But it's just as hard to mow. Now, it's not always that simple. I don't think this one will be very easy. Shift-C, let's go select a color range. I don't want to grab any of that brick color, so I'm not going to grab an area where there's green overlapping the brick. Right in here maybe. Click and drag. Those are my greens. And look at my overlay. Oh my gosh, really? Seriously? It grabbed so much. Refine. Not bad. So I'm going to say subtract another color range. Are those different at all? Yes. So I'm getting rid of some things. Adding, subtracting. I really want to subtract using my brush at this point and just get rid of some of this extraneous stuff that makes it really easy just to paint through across the bottom. The water is green. I wish it weren't. Pollution, but there it is. Now that's my green ivy selection. I'm going to tap the letter Y to hide my overlay. I might add more contrast. I might pump the saturation with color. You're hearing some of the words I'm using over and over again. Saturation. Saturate the color selection. It makes that color more impressive, more pop, pizzazz, and impact. Contrast between the various tones and shades of that color. And or, you've seen me, change the color completely with that hue slider down below, right? Is it autumn? No, I'm not going to change it, but you've seen it. And now I'm going to hit the letter P for preview. Wow, that was a big shift from when we opened it to what we got out of it. Thank goodness for that beautiful select color range. That's color range. It's one of the two columns that we put on our foundation of all these great masking tools. COL, color masking, color range masking. What's the LUM? Luminance. Luminance masking. And it's a particular use to me when I'm looking at my images that have great amounts of light or dark. Let's look at my clouds. Ah, wouldn't we love to be there? So instead of Shift C for color, COL, I'm going to do Shift L for luminance. I have a new luminance range selector. Now, if you want to take the long cut, there you go. Apparently, there's something I can't get to right now called depth range. And I don't think it can describe the depth of frustration I might have not knowing there's something I can't have. Oh well, luminance range, Shift L. That's what we did to grab our luminance range. As I do with my color range, I don't just click to grab one brightness level. That's what luminance is. It's brightness. It's a brightness selector. So instead of, let's see, in my clouds, I'm going to click and drag. Give me anything in that range of luminance. And let's see what it actually, oh, not bad actually. It grabbed my clouds, my white clouds that are of a different luminance than the sky surrounding. Okay, it's going to get a little tricky here, so watch me carefully. Get your pencil ready. Where we saw that refine for color, it's now called select luminance, and there's a very odd looking, very difficult to figure out on your own range for selecting refining luminance. I'm going to zoom in and let you just get a good look, but this clouds document would be a good example of how to use it. Let me just tell you the parts, the working parts. There's a box. There's a rounded corner rectangle box. And it has little handles on both sides that I could grab. It has a little nub in the middle that I could push on. I'm pushing. There's a handle. Oh, I push a little funkily and there are these lines with these little triangles underneath them. So those are all the component parts. I'm ready to show you what they do. There's a box with handles and a nubbin inside. There's a line on either side with a little triangle or a little slider nubbin. What this represents, the box, is what tones did you want? What tones did you want? And you can increase the amount of tones or decrease the amount of tones by pulling on the handles of the box. The box says these are the tones, the values, the brightness levels that Rick wants. That's what the box is. Now, outside of the box, those lines are very important. They are smoothers. From the edge of the luminance you want, how smooth should I make the edges as it transitions into the darker values? Notice if I just drag it, my tones are already selected with the box. But if I drag it, you're going to see it's a transition slider as it goes towards the, and on the left side, the dark tones. There's a transition slider on the left of the box. Those are for the dark tonal transitions. On the other side, as you might have guessed, that's for the light or the brighter tonal transitions. So it's blending, it's transitioning as it points to the rest of the image. You can grab the box and move it, and it maintains the transitional components on either side. That's what's happening. What can you tell me about it, Rick, as a takeaway? I would say choose your range and make sure that you have at least some transition. Because when you don't have at least some transition, you can see it gets really pixelated and ugly on the edges. We're trying to avoid this. And you do that by pulling out on those little triangles for transitions. All right? That's it. I'm going to hide my overlay. Oh, one more thing I ought to show you. I'm looking at the areas I'm selecting using the overlay. Now, a little awkwardly, Luminance has something called Show the Luminance Map. And it's another kind of overlay. My Luminance map will show me, I've got an overlay in yellow, but now it's showing me a luminance. You can't change that color. It's always in red. But it may be another way for you to see more carefully what you're actually receiving and what areas are being impacted. I think I'm good with that. I'm going to turn off my overlay. I'm sorry, my luminance map. My overlay is still on. Now I'll turn it off with the letter Y. And what shall we do? Well, maybe I'll give the overall exposure. But you see how chunky it's getting. See, ooh, see those edges. That's my transition issue. I might need to play with my transitions. And it looks like they're transitions onto the bright side or the darker edges. I'm still allowed to play with that even after I've left the luminance range. I'm playing with my sliders. So this is a good example. It shows how I could make a selection out of brightness levels. I'm playing with that, hitting the letter P, 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 P. I'm just playing with the sliders, but only on those brighter tones. Let's do another one. Shift L, Luminance. I'm going to click and drag on the dark areas of this post, this chunk of wood. Now that chunk of wood, and I'm looking at my overlay. Look where my box is in my luminance range. You got dark stuff, Rick. Thanks. And my transition. I'm really interested in the dark stuff. The box can be increased or decreased. It has nothing to do with the transitions yet. It's just what particular tonal values am I selecting. And then there is my transition. Nice. I have just dark tones in that post. But I can see I've also selected darker tones throughout the image. Let's shift, click to get intersect with a brush and say, really, I'm only interested in this area on the bottom. I'm only intersecting to select and interact with that area of the wood. What would I like to do? Maybe more contrast. Dig it. Hit the letter P, before and after. I'm seeing both the cloud luminance change with P and the log, the stump, the post. Luminance range. Luminance range. Let's try another example. Love this waterfall. Really nice. It seems to me, as I stare at it, whether I like it or not, that the light was very bright at the top of the falls, but by the time it got, I guess, under the bridge and into the trees, it got a little darker. Come to the rescue. Luminance range. Grab this luminance. Click. I'm just looking and see what I have selected. Wow, there's a lot selected. I can play with my range. It's not helping me much. Playing with the size of the box, not much. The transition, not much. I only want the bottom part of my waterfall. You know this. Let's shift key, let's intersect with a linear gradient. So starting about here, drag up, and you see that it's fading out as it crosses the bridge. Stop. It's a beautiful intersection, isn't it? As it travels upward. I'm going to hide that now, and now only in that area play with the, oh yeah, exposure to rebalance, to equalize different sections of the waterfall. Wow, luminance made that easy first, and then intersecting with my linear grad. Oh, this is not your mommy's Photoshop anymore. Beautiful, beautiful. It's also very helpful, isn't it? Wouldn't it be luminance with snow? Luminance mask. Grab my bright stuff. Or click and drag, I've told you, right? To grab a range of bright stuff. Let's see what we have. I'm going to hold the Shift key and add this range. Click, add that range. Play with my box. Play with the edges of the box. Play with the transitions, in or out of the box. Good. This one's going to be more tricky than I thought. No, not for us. Let's subtract the subject. Nice, the barn doesn't count anymore. What else do we need to subtract? Subtract the sky. Sky's out. I don't know what it was thinking over here on this tree, but we'll now subtract using our intelligence and the brush. Hey, no, bad dog. And whatever's going on over here on the horizon, no more. I now have a great selection using what we've looked at foundationally here. We've already been here. What do I want to do to my snow? Maybe more contrast, less contrast, maybe more bluing, less bluing. Yeah, more blue. The letter P for preview, before, after, go luminance. Classic example of when I would use both luminance selections and color selections. I'm just looking at this. I think it's a great example. If I do Shift L for luminance and click on maybe that very brightest area, I'm going to look at my luminance map and see what it actually has highlighted in stark red. I think you've got too much, so I'm going to do my best to dial that back. Transition. Not bad. Subtract. a color range. I know the red stuff's in there. I don't want any of that. So that's out. The yellow is going to be my highlight, my selection. Well, let's change that color to a hot green. So the green is now my selection. Anything that's brightest bright, in this case these whites, is now my selection. I'm hitting Y so I can see it. What do I want to do with those bright selections? Well, maybe make them even brighter or dial them down. I'm going to make them even brighter. Even brighter. Very good. Now let's go play with our color selection. Shift C, new color selector. I'm going to click on red. Now why is it showing up in white? Well, my overlay. Anything green is what's currently selected. I'm going to play with my refine. Do I want less of the red or more of the red? If I keep pushing, it starts to grab the sky. You see that? So just until I don't have sky. Good. Hide my overlay. What might I do to the red? Well, I could change the color. Now maybe I don't want to shift the color, but I might want to desaturate the color or supersaturate the color. P, before and after. Let's do one more color range. Shift C. Let's go grab the gorgeous orange tones in the sky. I'm looking at my overlay. I've got too much selected, don't I? Let's refine. I'm just trying to get the orange of the sky. Excellent. Let's subtract with a linear gradient from at the bottom to the top. None of that is now a part of my selection. We're good. I have a color selection. And let's go play. Maybe a little bit more yellow, orange, blue. I'm playing. Maybe it's too saturated, not saturated enough. More shifts. So not just selecting sky, but here my sky is in two colors. I might need to select a color range. Is this making some sense? I'm looking around for more examples, but I think you've got it. If not, contact me. Let me know. Hey, Rick, the only question I'm going to send you is I saw that you went to the masks, and there was one we couldn't get to. It was grayed out, called depth mask. Can you show that one? Yes, but rarely. I'm going to click on an image that is highly unique. Everything I've been working on thus far is a DNG file or a raw file of some type or a TIFF or a JPEG. But this file is a HEIC, a .HEIC. And currently, a specialty masking technique under range. Now we've been everywhere. Subject sky background, the artificial intelligence masks. We've been to the user intelligence masks of objects in brush, linear grad, radial grad, and most recently in this video, my range rovers, my color range, the column, COL and LUM, the color range and the luminance mask range, but I haven't been able to access the depth range. Very rare. It only works currently, as at the time of my recording, it only works on HEIC files, HEICs, and then only on Apple HEIC files that have been taken on the, you heard my iPhone beeping on me earlier, like, talk about me, talk about me. And only then, when you take a photo with your iPhone in something called portrait mode. That's very specific. Your photo is taken as a HEIC on an iPhone, but it has to be taken in portrait mode. And if and when you ever do that and bump into it, you'll see that you now have access to something, wow, called a depth field. It's a depth of field mask. A depth of field mask. It's so rare, but it is still wonderful. And so really just put your pencil down and stare. I've got a depth map. I've got a big box. Right now it says you've got the entire depth of field in this photo at your disposal. If I click show depth map, here we go. Right now I've got everything, but I'm going to say start to drag, and it's actually selecting through my depth of field. On either side, select out of the back, move the box. Look, there it is, going right through my depth of field. It's crazy. Now, if I don't show the depth map, I also get a real puzzle that I appreciate. When I look, I'm going to zoom in so you get a better look. When I look at this selector, I see these big blocks. Those big blocks represent objects that the depth field recognized. It hit. That's the wall. That is whatever's in front of the wall. And then this is the cup, most probably, and so on. So you can see that you can drag. Oh, look. Let me crank my exposure so in blackness. I'm just making that so you can see it. If I drag past this, that's the foreground. Drag past that, the cup, the background. You see? I'm dragging past those little blocks, and it's cutting out whole objects that it's discovering in the depth of field map. Okay, that's some heavy-duty thinking right there. That's heavy. I just want, let's say, the mug to the best of my ability. And all the way to the back. I just played with the size of the box. So what you see going dark is my selection. Why would show you that, right? Can I edit it? Sure. Let's subtract with my brush this area. Probably not necessary. I'm just showing off what you already foundationally understand. That was my depth range. I'm editing the transition. Hide my profile, my overlay, and go to play with my sliders. I want the background desaturated. No color whatsoever, please, in the background. That may be all I want to do. Incredible. I've just done something. Maybe I also want to darken it. And you know you can always intersect with, hold the shift key, intersect with a linear gradient, for example, from here to there. The sky is the limit. The sky is absolutely the limit for these things that we're doing. I have introduced you to every mask there is. Almost. We've done these. We have to do people. The greatest set of features in any Adobe app I've ever seen. In fact, in any app I've ever seen. Right there. A whole dedicated video to it coming up.